Welcome to the English Matura with JB podcast. You know what really blows my mind? The idea that stupidity might actually be more dangerous to society than evil. It sounds crazy, but there's fascinating research backing this up.
Hold on. More dangerous than actual evil? That's a pretty bold claim. What's the evidence behind that?
Well, it comes from this incredible analysis by Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who wrote about it while in prison during World War II. He observed that evil can be exposed and fought against, but stupidity? It's like this invisible force that spreads through society without anyone noticing. And get this, he wasn't talking about low intelligence at all.
Hmm. So, what exactly was he referring to then?
He was describing a phenomenon in which people willingly relinquish their ability to think critically. You know how George Orwell wrote in 1984, "The party told you to reject the evidence of your eyes and ears"? That's exactly what we're talking about, this voluntary surrender of independent thought.
That's making me think about how social media works today. Like how algorithms create these perfect echo chambers where people just keep reinforcing each other's beliefs.
Right. And here's where it gets really interesting. Hannah Arendt studied this phenomenon and called it the banality of evil. She found that some of the worst atrocities in history weren't committed by obvious villains, but by ordinary people who just stopped questioning things.
So, you're saying this kind of stupidity is actually a choice? Like, people actively choosing not to think critically?
Exactly. And research shows that this tendency increases under certain conditions. Studies have found that group pressure can reduce independent thinking by up to 75% in some situations. It's what psychologists call collective cognitive closure.
Well, that's terrifying. But surely there must be ways to protect against this.
Noam Chomsky offers some insightful analysis on this. He argues that maintaining democratic thinking requires active engagement, like a muscle that needs regular exercise. And get this, studies show that people who regularly expose themselves to opposing viewpoints are 60% more likely to detect misinformation.
That's really interesting because it suggests this isn't just about individual choices. It's about how entire societies can fall into these patterns.
And that's where the modern context becomes crucial. Social media algorithms are essentially supercharging these tendencies. Research shows that false information spreads 6 times faster than truth on social platforms. It's like we've created the perfect environment for what Bonhoeffer warned about.
You know what this reminds me of? Those studies about conformity in the workplace where people will knowingly make wrong decisions just to fit in with the group.
Oh man, the Asch conformity experiments. They found that people would deny obvious visual evidence just to agree with others about 37% of the time. And in modern versions of these studies, the numbers are actually increasing.
Can you tell me about the Asch conformity experiment?
Sure, imagine you're sitting in a room with a group of people. You're all shown a simple task. There's a line on one card and 3 lines of different lengths on another card. Your job? Just pick the line on the second card that's the same length as the line on the first card. Sounds easy, right? Well, here's where it gets interesting. In the Asch experiment, most of the people in the room were actually actors, pretending to be participants. Only one person was a real participant, and they didn't know about the actors. The experiment went like this: the actors would all give the wrong answer first, and then it was the real participant's turn. Now think about it. If everyone else in the room says the wrong answer, what would you do? Would you stick with what you see, or would you go along with the group? Surprisingly, about 75% of the real participants went along with the group's wrong answer at least once, even though it was clear to them that the group was wrong. Only about 25% always stuck to their own correct judgment. This shows us something really important about human behavior. We have a strong tendency to conform or go along with what others say or do, even when we know they're wrong. It's like we're afraid to stand out or be different. Think about times in your own life when you've gone along with the group, even if you didn't really agree. Maybe it was choosing a movie to watch or deciding what game to play. This experiment helps us understand why that happens. It's our natural desire to fit in and be accepted. But here's the thing: while conforming can sometimes make things easier, it's also important to think for ourselves. Just because everyone else says something doesn't mean it's true or right. The Asch Experiment reminds us to trust our own judgment and to be brave enough to stand up for what we believe in. So the next time you find yourself in a situation where everyone seems to agree on something, take a moment to think for yourself. Ask yourself, do I really agree, or am I just going along with the group? Remember, your opinion matters and it's okay to be different.
That's making me wonder about practical solutions. How do we actually fight against this tendency toward conformism?
Well, here's something notable. Research shows that having just one person willing to question group consensus reduces conformity by nearly 80%. It's like having permission to think differently. But you know what's really crucial? Bonhoeffer said only an act of liberation, not instruction, can overcome stupidity.
Meaning we can't just teach people to think critically? They have to choose it for themselves?
Precisely. And recent studies in cognitive psychology back this up. They've found that people who actively practice questioning their own beliefs show a 45% improvement in critical thinking skills within just a few months.
That's actually pretty hopeful. It suggests we're not stuck with these patterns.
Exactly. But here's the catch: it requires constant vigilance. Studies show that even people trained in critical thinking can fall into cognitive traps when they're tired, stressed, or overwhelmed. And in today's world, we're basically always in one of those states.
So, what you're saying is that fighting against this kind of stupidity is really about developing new habits?
Yes, and about creating environments that support independent thinking. You know what's fascinating? Organizations that implement regular devil's advocate protocols achieve a 40% improvement in decision making outcomes. It's about institutionalizing the practice of questioning assumptions.
That's really making me think about how this applies to everything from personal relationships to larger social movements.
And that's exactly why understanding this is so crucial right now. We're living in an age where information moves faster than our ability to process it. The tools that make our lives easier — social media, instant news, algorithmic recommendations — can also make us more susceptible to this kind of voluntary stupidity.
So, in the end, it really comes down to making a conscious choice to think independently, even when it's uncomfortable.
That's right. And remember what the research shows. It only takes a small number of independent thinkers to help maintain critical thinking in larger groups. We don't all have to be perfect at it all the time. We just have to keep trying, keep questioning, and keep encouraging others to do the same. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you found the podcast enjoyable and valuable. Take care and see you next time.